We look at the Great Pyramids and see tombs. We look at ancient monoliths and see calendars or monuments to forgotten kings. But a growing community of people look at these stone structures scattered across the globe and see a network of dormant machinery. According to this alternative view of history, these sites are the unplugged, broken hardware of a global machine, a global energy grid that once powered an advanced civilization. Look at this aerial view of the Cahokia landscape in the American Midwest. Traditional textbooks classify these as ceremonial dirt mounds built by early tribes. The new theory argues these are massive geometric step pyramids that were once integrated into that global power network. Mainstream archaeology tells a story of isolated groups slowly inventing agriculture.
Look how they walking around them, auctioning them off like cattle, laughing, smiling, taking pictures while standing on the heads of gods. These are not decorations. These were your ancestors, your titans, your priest kings, carved into the mountains, buried in the damn canyon. They told you it's just erosion, just sand and wind? No, this here was a city, a temple. A civilization so old and so powerful they had to bury it to control the timeline. The Grand Canyon? That is not a natural crack in the earth. That's the skeleton of a damn empire. Cities carved into walls, domes blasted off, temples renamed Zoroaster and Isis temple-like mythology. No, this was America's Jerusalem, Atlantis, Amexem. They bombed it with water, with fire, reset it, and built fake trails for tourists while setting up surveillance on the real entrances so they could sit on our thrones. And don't miss this part: Shiva, Buddha, Hanuman, Isis, Horus, all them so-called foreign gods. Why you think their temples and names show up here in America? Because the old world was here. The spiritual capital was here. They just moved the story overseas and left the ruins buried under dirt and lies. Look at these mountains. Look at these faces. These ain't rocks. These are titans. These are ancestors. These are power stations of a black global civilization they tried to erase. Now zoom in on this one. See the face in the stone? That is not pareidolia. That's a giant. A titan. The mountain is the man. Y'all keep looking for your royalty in a museum, in a book, in Egypt. But the throne was always here. They terrified, not just of us talking, not just of us remembering, but of one of us stepping foot back on one of these sites. Because they know what we made them out of. They know our energy is living technology. They know our blood holds keys. And they can't know the moment one of us touches the right rock, the whole thing will power back on. Just like in Atlantis, Shorty touched a stone, and it wasn't no rock, it was a whole ship. That's what them Grand Canyon temples really are. Power stations, gateways, receivers, portals. You think this just art? No, this was spiritual technology. These heads weren't just statues, they were conduits, energy nodes, Atlantean power centers. They built them in alignment with stars, with the Earth's grid. You're not just looking at stone, you're looking at a motherboard of the planet. And now, look around. Look at who's not allowed in these spaces. Black folks, indigenous, the same bloodline they tried to wipe out. Ain't that ironic? Ain't that biblical? This is a resurrection story, not a fairy tale. The soil remembers, the stone remembers. And these titans, they waiting on you to remember too. Why you think they named a Temple of Shiva, Temple of Isis, Temple of Horus, Zoroaster, Osiris, Ra, and then told you it's just rock formations? They hoping you never go there. They hoping you never activate it, because they know that land ain't dormant, it's sleeping. And when we show up, it wakes up. That's why they erased our names. That's why they made us forget. That's why they renamed the land, the rivers, the mountains. Because we, the batteries that make the system reboot. This ain't no conspiracy. This is cosmic court in session. This is memory in motion. This is prophecy walking. You buried the truth in the canyon, but guess what? We coming, we touching that stone, and it's going to open.
This is the bust of Nefertiti, who is the wife of Akhenaten, that we're very familiar with. But this particular piece was found in a German workshop. It had no cartouches bearing her name, and it was found in the early 1920s by German excavators. but it looks nothing like this version of Nefertiti, which was found on the walls of Tel Armana, which was actually the city of Akhenaten. But yet this one has been claimed to be Nefertiti, meaning the beautiful one has come, and is supposed to be the most beautiful woman who ever lived. When in actuality, if we look at Nefertiti, this was the portrait of Nefertiti.
All eyes.
What's up, fam? You see these statues right here, right? Look at them good. And look at this. They are putting Egypt together. Look at him sawing. But what is it that he's sawing? Check out this face right here. This guy's just filming this. Check this out. Look. Look at that. They're carrying the face. They're putting the Egyptian faces on. This is the quarry where they make it. Look, they're carrying the artwork that they made. We thinking this is ancient. Look, they put it on the walls. They done drew all this up. All of this. Look at them as they cut through the rocks. Look at that. Cutting it and placing it. Got you thinking this is ancient. Ain't nothing ancient. Look at that. Is Egyptian writing even old? Look at the quarry. Look at this. You know? Look at her feet. This is why I say history is false. Look at them cutting it out. Putting it all together. Most of our history is a fabricated lie. Look at this. Look, they're carrying it. They done made it. They filmed them making the dirt. This is who they say we are. This is what his story looked like. His story is going to give you the image. They're putting on the face and telling you it's ancient. Look at the left. Egypt, Luxor, 1890.